Welcome back to Figure Depot. Today I thought we'd take a little retrospective look back at the Bane Collect and Connect figure from the DC Universe Classics line. This was my most anticipated Collect and Connect figure, and it stands up to this day. The only thing that it's missing, which we'll look at in the articulation section, is a nice dynamic ankle pivot. And, you know, if it had had that, this would have been great. I mean, like, even today, like, I would still be after it if it was a new Collect and Connect figure. I don't like the new one by McFarlane. It's just huge and bulky and stupid looking to me. It's not practical. The posability is very weak just because it's so bulky. It's essentially useless, in my opinion. This thing, I think, is just a nice classic, you know, if you like classic Batman, you like 90s Batman, this is definitely your Bane figure, and it's got a lot of good stuff going for it. Looking at the paintwork on here, it's very simple, just due to the nature of the character design, but it's still a really, really cool figure. I love the green translucent tubing coming down from the head into the arm. There are a lot of cool figures in this wave too. It was a nice compliment all the way around with these guys. The design, again, though simple, is still great. That belt buckle looks really cool. You know, the classic, you know, kind of luchador look to Bane originally. From the Nightfall comic, of course, he breaks Batman's back. Just a great looking figure. I know I've said that like 12 times already, but yeah, really nice sculpt on here. I'm guessing this is 4 Horsemen. It looks a lot like their stuff. They did a lot of the Mattel stuff, so pretty sure that's who sculpted this. Got a nice gloss finish on the boots, and then a flat finish on the pants, which is a nice separation. And then of course the gloves are gloss, and then the shirt is not. So you kind of get that contrast between cloth and leather with that difference in the paint, which I think is really great. Really neat idea. Looking here a little closer, the little coupling here mounting onto his arm, the tube. Then in the back, you've got a zipper coming across the top of the head that's sculpted and painted really nice and clean, and then you got some more tubes coming off here, which looks really cool. It's just a great design and very well executed. Not much else to talk about in terms of the overall aesthetic of the figure. It's got some subtle shading, so it's not just one color tan plastic. It actually does have paintwork and shading wash of some sort to kind of bring out the definition in the muscles, and just a really nice figure. We'll do a quick run through of the articulation and then get to some size comparisons with some older figures and then some newer figures that I think still scale very well with this guy. So we'll start at the bottom. He does have an ankle rocker and just a very, very subtle ankle pivot. Is not much to speak of at all. That's again where I think if they had had a good solid ankle pivot, it would have been fantastic. You get a boot cut right there. You get single jointed knees, but the range on them is really, really nice. It's basically 90 degrees. You do get a thigh cut right there above the knee instead of up high on the figure. He can kick really far forward, and we'll go back just a hair. He's got the classic Mattel crotch pits, of course, so you get a monster split out of that. We do get a waist swivel that rotates 360. Nice ab crunch. You can go forward a lot. It doesn't go back just a whole lot, but the forward is really nice. And then we have arms in that classic DC Universe style with the swivel and hinge, and then we get a biceps 360 here at the shoulder. Then you get basically 90-degree bend with a single jointed elbow, and then you just get swivels at the wrists. No pin in there to kind of give it a rocker or a up and down movement. It's just a solid swivel, which all the DC Universe Classics were, so not uncommon for its time. And then the head is on a little ball peg, and you know, it can rotate around just fine, and it can look down and it can look up, and you know, so it's real dynamic. Got some tilt there, so really good articulation, honestly, for its day, because not mistaken, the regular figures just basically had a swivel. So here's a look at Bane with the Batman from DC Universe Classics line and the Wonder Woman, and you can see he's nice and huge and towers over him, so real nice dynamic there, fit in perfectly as a Build-A-Figure with its intended line. And here's a look at him with the Red Robin action figure from the what later became the Multiverse line from Mattel, and the '89 Batman with a custom cape that I made. So you can see still in the same scale when they transitioned from the Universe Classics into Multiverse. Now here's a look at him with the DC Essentials Joker, which the Essentials line was kind of the first foray creeping into more of a 7-inch scale. And then you had your NECA Batman with the Dark Horse 2-packs that came out, and you can see even though they're inching up a little bit taller and larger in scale, Bane still looks really nice and is still big enough that he doesn't look out of scale with these guys. So here's some McFarlane figures, and you can tell they're getting bigger and he's starting to shrink a little bit. I still, you know, you can still make it work. He's still obviously much bigger and, you know, probably more realistic in size of a massive bodybuilder that, you know, was about, because Batman's what, like 6'2", 6'3", so this would probably make this Bane close to 7 foot. So, you know, still a good size larger, especially than the Curse of the White Knight Batman. So I don't know, still works for me, but for some people he might not be imposing enough at this scale. So here's a quick look at him with a couple Marvel Legends. You've got Gambit, and then of course Athena from the upcoming Eternals film, and they pretty much scale in the same light as the DC Universe Classics did, more of a true 6-inch scale. And if you were curious how he stacks up with Marvel Legends Build-A-Figures, you can see he's about the same height as the Build-A-Bear, also known as Ursa Major, and just slightly shorter than the Hulk figures. And one thing I will say, he doesn't quite have the girth that they do, especially in the midsection and legs. So, kind of, you know, but Hulk is definitely going to have a larger legs than your average figure. So, but anyway, yeah, neat to see these next to each other. Alright, so if you were wondering, yes, there definitely are some figures out there that can dwarf this guy, and that is going to be the DC Multiverse Killer Croc from one of the last Mattel waves that they ever put out. Solid figure, really nice, great sculpt work, and just a great figure. And then, of course, we have the Diamond Select Immortal Hulk, is what it was titled, but looks more like a rampaging Hulk, I would say, and nothing really in terms of the head sculpt at all like the Immortal Hulk from the comics. So, but a fantastic figure from Diamond Select. Definitely recommend picking that guy up. Any of these 3 figures would be awesome. in your collection. But anyway, that's a look back at this guy, and I think it's a fantastic figure. I highly recommend picking him up. He is very expensive now because this thing's been out since way back in the DC Universe Classics days, and is very, very hard to come by at this point. But to me, he's pretty much the definitive Bane figure. They had the DC Heroes line, Superheroes line, and they did have a version in that that's similar to this, but the leg articulation and sculpt was a little wonky. This is definitely going to be the better articulated, better sculpted version than that original one, and I would definitely recommend this one over that one. But for the price and for the availability, you might have to settle for that other version. Well, thank you so much for watching. Please check out my Instagram, Figure Depot, and I'll be posting action figure news and action figure photography, as well as, you know, customizations and other things I work on from time to time. So check me out over there. Thanks so much for watching and subscribing, and I will see you guys next time.